All right, so if you are in the book community, which if you're watching my YouTube, obviously you are, there has been one thing and one thing only that has been on everyone's mind, been filling the internet and your For You pages with memes, okay? And that one thing is going to be Onyx Storm. Onyx Storm, the book that we have been waiting so long to get. So this is the Target edition that I have in my hand. It's a little wonky. For some strange reason, they all came a little wonky, but that's okay because I don't mind. Onyx Storm. This book. Okay, so just as a forewarning, if you have not finished Onyx Storm yet, do not watch this video. It is going to be filled with spoilers and theories and my answers to questions that have been all over the internet, because the end of Onyx Storm leaves you in a big sort of a moment. So I'm gonna give you my theories on what exactly happened. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on the book because yeah, and then the fact that we have to wait possibly 2 years for the next one is a little something, but that's okay. That's okay. So, all right, so Onyx Storm. I'm not gonna hold this the entire time because that would be ridiculous and my hand would go dead, but anyways, so you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about Onyx Storm. All right, first and foremost, this is the Target special edition. I was very lucky to grab the last one available at my local Target. I stayed up until like 2 in the morning. Waiting for it to release on Target.com. I sat online for about 30 something minutes before I was able to check out, okay? I checked out, I couldn't pick it up at my local Target. It said that they were all sold out at my local Target, which was a lie, but I think it was just their system and inventory and something. I was able to get an edition that would be mailed to me, so targetonline.com. But I didn't have any faith in that. I really honestly did not have any faith in that, and I'm happy that I didn't because it is now like the 27th, I think, 26th? 27th. It is the 27th. And I still don't have my copy, and I still don't know where my copy is. It says that it's en route to me, but it's been en route for about a week, and I still don't know where it is. So I'm very happy that I actually ran down to my local Target and grabbed it. So I live in Houston and we had like that tremendous snowstorm. Unfortunately, our midnight release party at the Barnes & Noble by me got canceled. They were canceled all around this area. So I did get my book when the store reopened a couple days later, but the release party was canceled. So that was kind of sad. Then on the morning of the 21st, I woke up. The roads are icy, everyone's home, like work was canceled, school was canceled, everything. And I looked at my husband, I'm like, we need to go get a copy because I don't trust this online system whatsoever. And so we woke up and we ventured out. Target opened at like 8 in the morning. We were out there by like 8:45. Got to Target, I got the last copy of it. Now, in all fairness, there were a lot of people who were buying like 4 and 5 copies. And I'm like, I don't know, I didn't realize that was allowed. Like I thought there was like a 2-copy limit, but there was really nobody there because again, we had that big snowstorm. So there was like 2 people in Target and we just did self-checkout. So I guess they finagled the system somewhere. I don't even know. But anyways, so I got the last copy and I read it. I'm super happy about it. I started it at 11 o'clock on Kindle on Monday night. And the beginning of this book is not good. Like the beginning of this book is not good. The probably first 100 or so pages, 150, I would say 150 pages, just to be safe, are not good. So it's not that we don't love the story. It's not that I didn't remember any of the characters. It was the way the book was written. So it seemed as though Rebecca Yarros wanted to cover a lot of ground in a short window. So scenes that one would assume had more depth, more detail, more importance, were just glazed over. Like it would have a scene of about 2 seconds of information, then it would skip, and then it would skip a week, and then you would have another scene of about 2 seconds of information, it would skip a week. And I get it, she needed to get the time correctly, because there's something very specific about timing in this book. So I get that she kind of had to do that. Things felt very convenient in the beginning. For example, that scene with Garrick, having him just like pop in and save the day like early on, that felt very convenient. Again, I understand why, because it plays into the end of the book, but the first 100 pages, it was set up. It was poorly done setup. I was not feeling it. I was struggling. I was like, what happened to my dear sweet Fourth Wing series? Like how is this happening? But it did get better. So once the crew actually got together and they started going to the different aisles and exploring things, it got really good. It got a lot better. So I enjoyed that a lot. But that first 150 pages was a struggle. It was such a struggle for me. It was so rough. But once we get into the aisles, so this book, it answers some questions very vaguely, but it doesn't answer all of them or even remotely like a satisfying amount of questions. And then it just leaves you with even more questions. In this book also, Rebecca Yarros she's a villain with the amount of tiny little details that she put in. If you didn't notice that tiny little detail, you're not gonna realize like what was going on. And it plays into the upcoming books. So, you know, some people call them Easter eggs. I call it foreshadowing. Really depends on kind of what you're used to, but there's a lot of it in this book. And I wanna just touch on a couple of things with that foreshadowing. So I took notes. I'm gonna bust out my little notebook so that I can remember what exactly is going on. So we're gonna start off with kind of just going through the aisles. So first of all, let's talk about our favorite characters. So we have Garrick, we have Bodhi, we have Imogen, we have Eric. He's a new one, we love him. We have Sloane, Brennan, Mira, Sawyer, Jasenia, you know, we have all the crew. I don't know if I forgot anybody, but where we left off in Iron Flame, the people who joined the rebellion side and left, and then those who stayed at Basgath, okay? We all have to come back together now, and with the Flyers as well, the Griffin Flyers, everybody's together and things just aren't playing out. They aren't working out very well, okay? Xaden and Violet and Mira, they're trying to come up with this plan so that the Flyers can stay because they made a promise. They're trying to keep this alliance, and that's all good and well, but I don't see where they were going with it. I know that's got to be set up for the future. Like there has to be something important with the Griffins because it was so important for them to stay. And I know that story-wise, it's just because like Violet and Xaden, they made a promise, but there's something that's going to be about the Griffins. There has to be, that is going to make them more important because as of this book, they're really not that important. I mean, it could be just leftover plot line that they had to that Rebecca had to wrap up from the last book, but I don't think so. I think that there's more to it. I'm not sure what yet though. Then we go into Xaden becoming a duke. Xaden got his title back. He got his lands back. He got his title back. He has position now, and that is extremely important. So their goal is to find the irid dragons, or irids. They're basically iridescent dragons. They're what Andarna is. They're trying to find those. Violet is also trying to find a cure for Xaden because he's Venin now. Yay! Xaden is Venin, and everyone thought, oh no, this is gonna be terrible, our poor baby Xaden, but in this book so far, everything's been fine. Obviously, there's a struggle with him wanting to, turn dark, like he has that Veninness, I guess, in him that's like saying, let's be a bad guy, but he's like, no, I'm not gonna be a bad guy. And it's very obvious throughout the story that it's Violet's love for him that is keeping him from fully becoming Venin, like from turning to that dark side, from turning into Jack Barlow. It's her love for him that's kind of keeping him sane. And there's a lot of talk throughout the story about how what Venin are is it destroys your soul, it takes your soul away, that sort of thing. And throughout the story, there's that term of you have my soul when you're my soulmate, I give you my soul, all of that kind of stuff when you love someone. So I feel like that's kind of what's helping save Xaden's soul in that factor, okay? We've got Dane's dad, who's a douche, and I'm pretty sure he's Venom, but I have no proof for that, okay? But I don't like him at all. I don't think anybody likes him, but he's been a dick since like the Jump Street, and he's just getting worse. Now, we don't see him as much in this, but he has now become the head of the War College after Violet's mom has passed away. I still think he's Venom, but who knows? So there was a comment in the book that basically said Venom, the lower level Venom, can like sense each other. Okay, so like Xaden can sense other like Venom close by, but he cannot sense like the sages and the Maves, like those like high up Venom, they cannot be sensed. So clearly there are some people who are high up in power, both in the world, in their world, and in the Venom world, and they just don't know who they are, okay? So that's an important piece. Another important piece is that the Venom, or that magic, feels the need to balance powers. So we're noticing that all of these like once in a generation powers are starting to manifest in the signets for our riders, right? We've got Violet with the lightning, Xaden with the shadows, we've got Garrick and his little time jumping thing, we've got Eric and his like he's a precog, like all of these kind of things. But those only happen, or rather, those we learn that whenever someone who becomes Venom has that ability to balance it, someone who's not Venom develops that ability. So for example, there is a little first year who now has shadow powers because Xaden is Venom. So now we know that anytime we see a duplicate power, the other person is going to be Venom. Okay? Eric is a precog. He can see things before they happen. Who else is? Who else can see things before it happens? Mel something. I can't remember his name. Melga or Melgan. The other, like the head of their military who rides the other black dragon, he was their precog. Now Eric is. Which tells me that that dude is 100% a Venom, and he's like at the top of the game. He was telling everybody before the battle, he's like, don't go into this battle. Don't go into this battle, you're gonna lose. Battle at the end of the book, he sent a message saying, do not go into battle, you will lose. Well, they didn't lose. Somebody lost, but it wasn't them. So I automatically think that he's a Venom, okay? Automatically think that he's Venom. We've got all of the islands. So you've got that crazy prince who tries to kill everybody, and Andarna almost ate his kitty cat. You've got the Isle of Dune where the priestesses live. So we find out what happened to Violet, why her hair is like brown to white. And it's because her father tried to basically make her like drop her off at this like priestess place, hoping that the god Dune would like save her, I guess, from her degenerative disease. And she never completed the full process. The priestesses who complete the full process have full white hair. She never did. So that's why she has like the brown to white hair, but she sees other people who have that similar hair style as her. So that's very interesting. The people on Dune, the queen that they fight, she wants dragons, okay? She wants dragon eggs. And they're like, no, we would never do that. But she's like, I will be your ally and I will join in if you get me dragon eggs, okay? Let's remember this. Then we have the island of the really smart people, the wise, the like scribey kind. They remind me of like, okay, so they remind me of Erudite from the Divergent series, like that faction of all like the wise, smart people or whatever. Well, if you haven't read Divergent or watched the movies, they're the bad guys. I'm sorry for spoiling it. Spoiler alert, but they're the bad guys, okay? And I feel like that island is like that. I mean, look what they did on the island. I mean, they tried to kill them. Poor Garrick, by the way. And Riddick, hilarious, but that's neither here nor there. I think that they're evil, and that's where Xaden's mom is. Okay, so Xaden's mom is like, lives on that island with the really intelligent people who I feel are super evil. Okay, they're like the Erudite people from Divergent, I swear. And something is going to be very particular about that. Like, they didn't show up on that island just to see Xaden's mom and just to threaten them and just to almost die. Like, there's gonna be more to that. I don't know what. And then we have our last island, which would be the island with all the crazy Joker people, okay? Where they play the game, but it's a trick, all right? Where we see broccoli. We love broccoli, okay? We love broccoli. We wanna all know where broccoli is. But that island, I feel like those gifts that were given were things that they needed. So I don't know why broccoli was needed, but broccoli is adorable. Amira needed a drink, clearly. Xaden needed a box, a glass box. For what? I don't know. Sadly, Kat's love interest who died, he needed to die, which is unfortunate to say, but that was how they found the iridescent dragons, was they had to go to an island to burn his body. So that's how they found him. So he had to die. So I think that these gifts are all something important. Now, Violet is given a compass, okay? A compass that doesn't work. Where else have we seen a compass that doesn't work, right? Think about your childhood, maybe not your childhood. Think about your teen year. I don't even know how old you are, but think about it. That's freaking Jack Sparrow's compass. She got Jack Sparrow's compass. Tell me I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I feel like that compass is definitely going to be important. I think it doesn't work, but it's going to eventually work. It's going to point to something that Violet needs. Kind of like how Jack's compass points to whatever his heart desires. I think it's gonna be something along those lines. Now, when it comes to the dragons and Darna's dragons, I don't know how to feel about them. Okay, because one, they're peace-loving dragons. They talk crap to Endar. Like, I wanted to fight the dragons. I'm not even gonna lie. I wanted to fight the dragons. But then one comes back, fires the ward stone, so we're good. And you know, they're good. They've got the ward stone up. They can actually protect their people now. The people are coming in for sanctuary, all that kind of stuff. And they take in Darna, right? And Darna leaves so she can learn their ways. It's a heartbreaking scene. Everyone's crying, all of that kind of stuff. But then they come back, and Darna comes back at the end fight. She clearly learned something while she was there for a little while, and I don't know, but those dragons know a lot of information. So my theory on this, my theory on why Darna came back, is that she found out from the dragons how to cure Xaden. And she came back, she helped Violet, but I think she's going to come back and forth. I don't think that she's actually broke her bond with Violet. I think she just kind of like paused it, if that makes sense, kind of like silenced it. I don't think that the bond is actually broken, and I think she'll probably come back and forth in the next book. But I think she came back because she knew how to cure Xaden. And this is where I get to the end of the book, okay? So the end of the book, I feel, has most of our questions, some of our answers, but there's a lot of foreshadowings. Okay, so this is where our foreshadowing, our Easter eggs, our timelines, our everything come into play. All right, hear me out on this one. All right, so everyone's freaking out about the last page because, I mean, you're reading and you're like, oh, yes, oh, what happens? And then you turn the page and that sucker is blank. And you're like, what? And what just happened? How, why, what? So what we know that Violet was fighting. So Violet was fighting Theophany, okay? That's that. I think she was a mage. She might have been a sage, I don't know. But she was fighting her. Tarn is in a net. He's, you know, trying to break free. Violet's losing, okay? She gets a package from Eric. Eric, obviously precog, he knew what was gonna happen. He got this stone dagger that is made from the temple to kill the venom, okay? Why did this work? Okay, so she was a priestess by June, so she was already protected. Then she became venom. To delay her, Violet asks her to kind of save some time for Violet to come up with a plan. She asks her, why, like, do you still feel the call to the island? Because the priestess, when Violet went to Dune, she was like, hey, she was like, you don't feel the call, then you haven't finished the process or whatever. So these priestesses feel this call to go back to a temple, to go back to Dune. Violet asks if she feels the call. Theophany says, let me find it. Hold on. Let me find it. I'm going to read it. So Violet says, do you not yearn for the temple? And And Theophany says, do you? Or are you immune, having only been touched and not dedicated? Do you know the pain of never being allowed to return, of knowing that it would sever the very thing that's kept me untouchable all these years? And that's the part that is important, I think. Do you know, do you know the pain of never being allowed to return? So she can't return to the temple, of knowing that it would sever, so going to the temple would sever the very thing that kept her untouchable all of these years. So Venin are basically immortal, right? They are basically untouchable. So going back to the temple would sever her being Venin. There's our cure. That is how Xaden is going to be able to get rid of his Veninness, is being dedicated to the temple, which means to me that next time we see Xaden, his ass is gonna have silver hair, and I'm super excited about it. I'm just saying. So that's a very important part, okay? Next, the other part that everyone is like, what is going on, is the very end, okay? So when Xaden finally decides to channel to save Violet. He feels, you know, he decides to channel to save himself and to save Violet, okay, and his dragon. He channels from the earth, massive shadows flow out, and it gives Violet the opportunity, the chance to kill the Venin in front of her and escape. So as those shadows are going out, okay, not only does he see, before he channels, he sees someone. He sees Panchek, who's going to be the one who was betraying them, right? He's given up all the information. He also sees somebody that he knows, that he has been very close with. We don't know who that person is. The name is not given, but we know that it's someone that he's close with, someone who has known for the last 5 months that Xaden has been Venin. So it's only people who have known from jump that he has been Venin, okay? So that rules out like Rhiannon, that rules out Riddick, that rules out Sawyer, all those guys who found out later. It rules out a few other people. Now, Brennan, I'm not 100% sure about. I still have to go back and read to see if Brennan has known from the beginning or if he found out one of the times that Xaden went back to him. I'm not 100% sure about him yet, but I have another reason for it. So the people who knew from the jump are going to be the marked ones. So we have Garrick, Brody, Imogen. They knew from the beginning. So it's going to be one of those people that have turned Venin. Okay. Now, as the shadows are spreading, Xaden is seeing people. So he sees Dane, we know it's not Dane. He sees Imogen, we know it's not her. He sees all these people because if he's seeing them out fighting in the distance, they're obviously not blacked out next to him on the ground. So now we have 2 options besides Brennan. Again, I have to figure that one out. But we have 2 options. We have Garrick and we have Bodhi. One of those 2 people who are close to him has become Venin. Okay. Now, when we go back to Violet's perspective, because Xaden is like, you know, freaking out. He's like, what am I gonna do? And he's talking to his dragon, and she's like, you know, what are you gonna do? And he's like, she's gonna help me. She'll help me. She loves me. She will help me. Clearly, he's talking about Violet. Now we jump back to Violet's perspective. Okay, we jump back to Violet's perspective, and Violet's just standing there. And she has no idea what's going on. Brennan is yelling at her. He's like, I've got all these missing riders. You've been gone for 12 hours. And Imogen's there. And she's just like, what's going on? And Brennan's like, there's 6 dragon eggs missing. Okay. There's 6 dragon eggs missing. All these riders have disappeared. We don't know what's going on. You're gone for 12 hours. And when you come back, you are married to Xaden. And there is a letter from the island of Dune that is saying they are officially married. Xaden and Violet are married. All right? We're following along, right? Okay. So from the time that the shadow situation where Xaden drains the source to the time Violet is showing up in front of her brother married was 12 hours. Okay. They got married in Dune. 6 dragon eggs went missing. And Imogen wipes Violet's mind, so she knows nothing as to what happened, doesn't know anything about what happened, all right? This is my theory behind it, all right? Bodhi is the one who is Venin. Garrick is not, because Garrick was needed to complete this heist marriage chaos situation. Why would Xaden need Violet's help so badly? Because Bodhi was supposed to be his heir. He was supposed to be next in line. Well, if he's Venin, clearly Xaden does not want Bodhi, who is Venin, to be next in line. So they needed somebody else. They have no other heirs. So what do? Violet marries Xaden. Now Violet is in charge. She is a duchess. She has the seat. She has the power. She has the title. She has the control of their land. Okay. Next, 6 dragon eggs went missing. I'm pretty sure it was Xaden and Violet that did it. And I'm pretty sure they took those eggs to the island of Doom. Okay. I'm pretty sure they took them there. For what reason? I don't know, other than the queen of that island wanted dragon eggs. There must be some sort of deal or partnership that they're working out, okay? Why? I know it wasn't Garrick. Because in 12 hours, the dragon eggs were stolen. They flew to an island that took days originally to get to. They got married, and then Violet flew back in 12 hours. Would not be possible if it wasn't for Garrick. Garrick can do your time jumping thing, which makes sense, because if we track back to the beginning of the book, the first 150 pages that drove me crazy, where everything felt really convenient, it was really convenient how Garrick's power was introduced. He just popped up out of nowhere, and it's like, here, I have this power now. It's because Rebecca Yarros needed it. She needed him to have that power to be able to travel that distance and get things done in that amount of time. So in 12 hours, that happened, okay? So Garrick is not gonna be the one who's Venin. It's gotta be Brody. It's gotta be. That's why she needed to be married. That's why Xaden was so heartbroken. And if you kind of follow along with Bodhi throughout the entire story, he's kind of in the background. He doesn't wanna be the Duke. He doesn't wanna take over. He doesn't wanna be next in line. He wants to live his own life. He wants to do his own thing. So he already has that level of not me. I don't want it to be me. So it would make sense that he would be willing to turn Venin, because he doesn't have that same like level of loyalty and responsibility that like Xaden has. So I can see him doing that. Now, there's a couple theories floating out there, like one, like Violet being pregnant. Could possibly be, could very well be. I hope not, because we all hate pregnancy tropes. Let's be real about this. Nobody likes a pregnancy trope. But it's possible because, again, Rebecca Yarros was real specific about time in this book. Now, again, in my opinion, she was really specific about time because of the end of the book, but it could be something else, obviously. I don't know all the answers. I mean, and then there's other things, other questions that we have, like Jack Barlow. Why was she trying to kill Jack Barlow? Okay, we know that Xaden can't kill his sage, right? The guy who kind of made him. He can't kill him. He has like a bonding sort of a thing. Even if you wanted to kill him, he can't, right? And that guy wants, it was a competition between the sage and Theophany for Violet. Why do they want Violet so bad? Not just because she's like strong and a lightning wielder. There has to be something else about it. And it's because he wants her. Like the head of all Venin wants Violet. And for that reason, and reasons that I've thought of for the past 3 books, I'm sticking with my original thought that Violet's dad is the head Venin. I know, it's crazy, but I feel it. I feel it that Violet's dad is the head Venin. Throughout the story, we are learning, we finally get our answers. He's got the books with all the answers, go to the different aisles, all of that kind of stuff. Why did he do all that? Well, he was researching. Why? Okay, we find out that he was 100% willing to, bring his daughter to these priestesses and try and fix her. And he's preparing for her. He's has everything set up for Violet. But Violet's not, and ended up following any of that. So he thought Violet was going to be a scribe. She ended up being a dragon rider. He thought that she was going to end up with Dane. Obviously, she ends up with Xaden. Like, he had this plan for her, not for his other 2 kids, not for Brennan, not for Mira. He had this plan for Violet, and now he wants Violet. I honestly still think that like the main villain is going to be Violet's dad. Now, my theory could be completely like left field. It could be something crazy. I could be completely wrong, but since book 1, I have thought that her dad is going to be the main villain bad guy. Anyways, so let's see. Anything else? Anything else my notes say? And the last thing that I'm gonna say before I stop my crazy rants and my crazy theories and my personal chat with you guys about Onyx Storm is going to be Sloane. Sloane is going to play a huge part in this book. Her ability to siphon is going to be extremely important. I think Sloane is how they are going to save everyone. They're going to save everything. Her power plays a major role. She's kind of in the background right now, but we keep seeing her in spots where her power is serving such a great purpose, or it's brought up, or you know how she wants to advance it or whatever. All of their powers are advancing, and these kids are getting double powers and double signets, and it's all advancing. And I think Sloane's will be what saves them. So we got to keep an eye out for Sloane, 100%. Now, as far as the characters, I'm happy for Sawyer. He's flying again. Him and Jasenia have a thing, and I'm all for it. Okay, Riddick is my baby. And if Rebecca Yarros does anything to Riddick, I will fight her. I will fight her. I will find her and I will fight her. Okay, we love Riddick. And Rhiannon, she's definitely going to be a leader. She's going to take position from somebody else. And I feel like so there's a prophecy, and I have to find it, but there was like a prophecy or something that talked about, or it was history. And I'm wondering if it's history repeating itself, but it was about 3 siblings. So I'm still nervous about Brennan and Mira because of that prophecy from Iron Flame. And I don't remember exactly what it said, but since that time I have been suspicious of them. So there is that chance that Brennan could be the Venom, and something could be suspect with Mira. And then if we double down with my whole theory, when Violet's dad says Mira's the only one you can trust, but there's that prophecy where we shouldn't be trusting her, and she's getting kind of like jealous of Violet being the one to follow in all of her dad's footsteps and paths, and the books being left for her and everything. I feel like we might be seeing some sort of conflict amongst the siblings in the future, and I don't know if it's going to work out very well for Violet. I feel like her siblings might not be the best, but we shall see. So that is my unhinged theories behind Onyx Storm and what I think actually happened. So if you have any theories, or if you think any of my theories are wrong, or have any proof against my theories, please tell me down in the comments. Let's open the discussion, because obviously I don't pick up on all the things. Some people pick up on things that I haven't picked up on, and I would love to hear what you have picked up on or what you think, so that I can make some good judgment calls. Because right now I think everything's gonna be okay. But there's some people who are suspect. So we will find out in 2 years. But until then, let me know down below what you think. Eventually, I will be doing a full reread and coming up with my crazy theories, and I will post them. So if you'd like to be updated for when I do that, probably in a couple of months, make sure you subscribe to my channel. That way you can get that notification. Also, if you like this video, please don't forget to like it. Definitely helps me out. Leave those comments, please. Tell me if I'm crazy, or tell me if you agree with my theories. If you have any of your own theories, I want to hear all of it. I want to hear all of it, so that I have some things in my head to look for when I'm rereading the series. And again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time. Bye.